All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Glad you could join us. JD back in studio. He just took a dump. JD, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate absolutely. That. I was very grateful to be able to.
Thank you.
Have a bowel movement.
And firing some missiles just like Kim Jong-un. I like
it. And if you watch the YouTube, you'll know we now have a stand-in for JD. It's Mike Lindell, the pillow guy.
My pillow guy.
About the same height.
Yeah.
And the same goofy expression on his face.
And about the same racist moron that Laura Ingraham is. Anyway, let's move on now to...
Did you just call me a racist?
I'm talking about Mike Lindell. I was talking about the guy that's standing the creepy pillow guy that's standing behind you. You know that.
You mean the guy that's worth about $150 million behind me? That guy?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people worth a lot of money that are racist. Just ask Rush Limbaugh. Anyway, let's move on now.
Made that money giving mustache rides.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk a little bit about this protest, Stein, that took place.
He does have a great mustache.
Protest took place on Fremont Street, and the reason why the protest was there is because these people, at least we thought, were against this new homeless ordinance that Carolyn Goodman put into place, where you can be fined, I believe it was up to $1,000. Find me a homeless person that can afford $1,000. And Stein can't even afford $1,000. And then number two, find me somebody who you think that deserves to go to jail for up to 6 months because they are homeless. I think it was unfair. So I agree with the sentiment that's being put forward there. However, we are now learning through Mayor Carolyn Goodman that some of these protesters may have been paid to be there. I want to play a little bit of this audio. She spoke with NBC3. This is Carolyn Goodman talking about these protesters.
Correct. That is substantiated, and some of them are paid. And if you listen to what they say is they read the script from their cell phone, same vocabulary, same words. So somebody has taken the time one way or another to get them organized and supported.
All right, gentlemen. So what do you think of that?
I mean, I didn't know that Stretch knew George Soros.
You think George Soros is behind all this? Well, no. Mayor Carolyn Goodman is kind of pointing the finger at a couple groups. She's pointing the finger at the ACLU,
right,
and she's pointing the finger at Stretch Sanders, Minister Stretch Sanders used to come on our show. And as we talked about ad nauseum, they had this big shutdown Fremont Street protest on MLK Day to protest the homeless ordinance. And in the end, 12 people arrested, but it really wasn't a very big showing. But yeah, that's who she's talking about. Now, Stretch Sanders says it's not true. And another guy with a group called Water and Solidarity replied, for someone who's only motivated by money and only serves moneyed interest, it makes perfect sense for her to say something that ridiculous.
How many actually attended this?
The one on Fremont Street?
Yeah.
I think it ended up only being about 100 people.
100 people?
Yeah, at most.
And so we'll say, assuming this is true, that 40% were paid?
I mean, okay, I don't know how many.
Possibly 80%.
You didn't say numbers, but there may be something to this.
Well, one of the guys that is behind it,
yes,
Stretch Sanders. The minister, Stretch Sanders, did our show probably a dozen times. He said some things on this show that not only do I disagree with, but I think are completely ridiculous. For example, we talked about race relations, and he said it's impossible for an African-American to be a racist. I think that is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. He's said a lot of foolish things on this show. But you know what? We supported him in this homeless ordinance because I don't agree with the homeless ordinance either. I said I didn't think it was the right way to go about it by doing a protest. It is certainly not the right way to go about it by allegedly paying protesters. That makes you look really bad. And I am going to take the mayor's side on this one. I don't think she would just make this up. That would be slanderous.
And it makes you look very, very ineffective. He actually dropped the idea or the fact that he was doing the protest on our show.
Yep. Yeah, he did.
That's where he made it public.
Yep.
It was pretty much a failure. And then the other thing that was interesting about it, and as I was watching it live, was that the police gave multiple opportunities for the protesters to disperse, and many of them did. They literally just took off. In the end, 12 people are arrested. Not one of them was Stretch Sanders. Stretch Sanders was not among the people arrested. I verified that with him.
Do you think that he ran away?
I don't know. You know, I'd love to have him back on the show to explain what happened.
Well,
but
you know what?
It's not like he's hard
not
to miss.
interested in,
I mean,
in coming on.
He wouldn't be hard to miss. He's 6'10".
Yeah, he was there.
So
he was definitely there.
He did attend. He was there, but
he
actually did attend his own protest.
Here's what we know for sure.
He told us he expected to be arrested on air.
He did say
Gentlemen, here's what we know for sure.
That's true.
We know that it wasn't a huge turnout. Here's what we know. We know that somebody is lying. Either Stretch Sanders is lying or Carolyn Goodman is lying. Now, explain this to me. A small protest, which is what it was a nothing burger, a small protest. Why would Mayor Goodman lie about something like that. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes sense to me that the other side might be lying because they're embarrassed because there wasn't a showing.
It would be different, again, if it was 5,000 or 6,000 people in Maryland. Mayor Carolyn Goodman wanted to make it look like there weren't actually this many people who were protesting.
How did she get this
ordinance.
information?
But yeah, the fact that it's just 100 people, why would she lie about that? It makes no sense.
And how did she get this information? I would imagine some of these protesters were probably questioned by police, right?
There's clearly a whistleblower involved.
Uh-oh. Don't use that term, whistleblower.
You know, it's a good question. We should have her on, and we should ask her where she gets this information. But it would not be unprecedented. You hear about this all the time about busing people in from out of city, out of state, to boost numbers at things like this. You know, the pain thing. Do I think Minister Stretch Sanders physically took money out of his pocket and paid these people? Probably not, because he probably doesn't have any money. But
oh, that's a cheap shot.
Well,
that was.
You don't get paid a lot to be a minister. That's not.
I don't know
you're not in that for the money.
I'm not sure
but
what
he's
the
affiliated
salary
with
is.
groups. He is affiliated with groups that may have deep pockets.
Okay, so you're saying he doesn't have two nickels he can rub together. Is that what you're trying to say? I don't know.
Where have I heard that term before?
I've heard it somewhere before also. No comment. But anyway, listen, we want to get down to the bottom of this. I believe Mayor Carolyn Goodman. I'm sure that she would come on our show to talk about it. I have a great relationship with her husband. Oscar Goodman just came on our show last week. I love Oscar. I have always loved Oscar. I love his personality. He was a fantastic mayor. And I do think Carolyn Goodman is doing a good job, but I miss Oscar in the Thrones. I will say that. He'll probably get angry at me for saying that. But I'm a big Oscar Goodman fan. I'm a big Oscar Goodman fan. I think he deserved an Oscar. Listen, if we're going to give an award to Rush Limbaugh, I think Oscar deserved an Oscar for Casino. Give him an Oscar for walking across the street with Joe Pesci. Really, I think they're about the same wavelength right there. If you're going to give Rush Limbaugh the Medal of Freedom Award, Oscar Goodman deserves an Oscar for Best Supporting Role in Casino.
Well, who deserved it more, Tiger Woods or Rush Limbaugh? Because Tiger got it last year.
I would say Tiger Woods.
And we made a big deal about that.
Obviously, I would say neither, but if I had to pick one of the two, I would say Tiger, because I certainly believe while Tiger is not a great person and he cheated on a number of different women, infidelity, I would also say that I can't recall Tiger ever saying something racist or going after women. In fact, Tiger did the opposite of that, in my personal opinion, and he's done more with his charity than Rush has done for his. Tiger's raised a lot more money and helped a lot more young kids with his charity and Tiger Jam and all that stuff than Rush Limbaugh has done in his lifetime, and you could make the argument Rush has more money than Tiger Woods. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the guys from Veterans in Politics will be joining us. Steve Sanson and Mr. Madoff will be joining us in studio next. Take a break. Be back right after this.